Today, we are going to talk about how to choose the right neighborhood. Buying a new home isn't just about buying the right floor plan or going with the builder with the best incentive. This video is about the difference between a good neighborhood and a great neighborhood. The neighborhood that you decide on will ultimately have a bigger impact on your daily life, your long-term satisfaction, and the overall value of your home. But unfortunately, far too many buyers rush these decisions. They get caught up in the model home, they get caught up in the builder incentives and the packages that they're being presented with, and they just sort of think the neighborhood will come together automatically. They tend to give the builder the benefit of the doubt that it's going to look great. But let me be totally clear. A great house in a bad neighborhood turns into nothing more than a long-term headache. Builders will distract you with the model homes. They'll make lots of promises about future amenities and improvements. Every new development, every builder just about seems to offer top-tier amenities, playgrounds, community centers, sidewalks, future roads. Those are the type of amenities that I'm talking about. And you're buying the new home community with the idea that eventually these future improvements will improve the value. But here's the first thing I tell my clients. Don't trust the builder. Don't trust their marketing materials. Don't trust those beautifully rendered site maps with future pools and new shopping centers and all these things that may or may not happen. They aren't always guaranteed. You need to verify what's actually been approved. And sometimes, more importantly, what's actually been approved and funded. There are lots of ways to do this. You start by checking the local county and city planning websites. In addition to identifying what has actually been approved as it relates to sort of future amenities, whether they are inside the community or adjacent or next to the neighborhood, it's really important to understand what can be built, what could be approved according to local zoning laws and whatever the right of way is for that particular plot of land, for example. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. The sales team might show you renderings based on some of the best case scenarios, but these are oftentimes nothing more than just expensive marketing materials. They may be dated. They may be put together as a part of an application to get something approved. I'll just sit there sometimes and roll my eyes because I know that more often than not, many of those renderings did not come to fruition. At least not the way it looks. Unless it's approved, and more importantly, has final funding behind it, take everything with a grain of salt. This is especially important when a builder is talking about future phases, whether it be a phase 2 or phase 3 in a particular community or neighborhood. That future development should carry very little weight in your current decision today. I've seen developers promise all sorts of things. In one example, a developer promised that an adjacent lot next to this community was going to be developed into a luxury condominium. But what ended up being built was an affordable housing complex. Now, this is no gripes with affordable housing, but as a result, instead of a luxury building featuring 1 and 2 bedroom units, the county in this instance agreed to help finance the project if the developer was willing to put in 3 bedroom units. And with 3 bedroom units, you got more cars, more traffic, more congestion, more loitering, and it really had an impact on the neighborhood values. In another instance, a builder promised a phase 2 in an adjacent lot in this townhome community right outside Washington, D.C. In this particular case, phase 2 never happened. The builder never actually owned the piece of property next to the neighborhood. Had an option on it. They had the first right of refusal to develop it, but ultimately, it decided not to. And the existing church on that lot ended up being demolished, and a new mega church was built in its place. It was actually so large, it cast a shadow over the townhomes that were next door. The lesson here, don't assume that what's planned will actually happen. Look at what's legally approved. And again, I keep going back to this. And what's paid for. And what's financed. Better yet, if it's actually under construction, that's your best bet. You know, a big promise that builders make in these new communities that is sometimes out in the middle of nowhere are future road improvements. Highways that are going to be built, new crosswalks that are going to be put in. A lot of that is outside of their control. There's a lot of information that you can learn by researching on the county websites and plans, Googling the research minutes for the meetings in which this community was discussed. And maybe just put it into ChatGPT and ask it for some direction in terms of how will you actually verify that what the builder is telling you will actually come to fruition. So beyond future development, here are a few practical things to look out for when evaluating a new neighborhood. All these tips and lists can be found in my book, The Builder Is Not Your Friend, and I'll go over a few of those right now. All right, you wanna look at traffic flow and accessibility two different neighboring streets. You want to visit the community during different times of the day. Morning, afternoon, evening, rush hour, weekends, Sundays. A quiet street at noon might be a nightmare during rush hour. In one instance, we discovered there was a warehouse where dozens of dump trucks would depart at 5:30 every morning en route to wherever they were going. That's not something we ever saw during the day, during rush hour, but it created a lot of noise, a lot of rumbling, and ultimately they decided to move forward. But it was really nice that we actually knew that going in. A big one is the school district boundaries. Even if you don't have kids in the schools, school ratings impact resale value. Everyone knows that. Whenever you have a new development, with it, you get more people, you get more kids and more population. And oftentimes, these boundaries are always sort of ever changing. Builders might often advertise schools that are currently assigned in the neighborhood, but that might be before 300 new kids move in and the school gets rezoned or redistricted. So verify boundary lines. Do research on the district websites and see if there's any discussion about redistricting any areas. Try to understand what the impact of a certain amount of kids coming into any certain district might have on your school. How crowded are the classrooms today, and how crowded might they be 2 or 3, 4 years down the line when the neighborhood is complete? Crime and safety. Yes, definitely check local crime reports. Visit the local police station website. See how many cars are being broken into. There's crime everywhere. I don't care where you live across this country, in the best neighborhoods in the world, how many crimes are actually being committed in that immediate area. You can use resources like Nextdoor, neighborhood social network, where they communicate with regards to things that are happening in the community. Ring.com, you can see all the sort of alerts and camera footage of homes that may be broken into in any given area. And one of my personal recommendations, visit the local shopping centers. Bonus, if there's a 7-Eleven nearby, visit those convenience stores after dark and just sort of see what's happening in that area. A lot can change when the sun goes down. HOA rules, fees, and enforcement. A high monthly HOA fee might not be a deal breaker. The general rule is that there should be a negative correlation between HOA fee and price. So the higher the HOA fee as it relates to a comparable home, the lower the price should be. But let's assume the fee is okay. If there is an established HOA in the community, how strict are they in their enforcement of rules? You may want them to be really strict, maybe you don't. Do you have a car with a logo that you want to park outside? Will you be allowed to? What if you run a home business? Make sure you understand exactly what you can and cannot do as it relates to the homeowners association. We have ChatGPT these days. Ask for an electronic copy of the HOA docs, upload them into ChatGPT, and from there, get all the information you need to feel comfortable about moving forward. Local zoning laws. It's really important to scrutinize the local zoning laws as it relates to all the land that encompasses a certain community. You want to know what may or may not be built adjacent to wherever you might be living. Don't assume a vacant lot will eventually turn into something that's more appealing or might add value. Understand what it may be in its best case, but also understand what it might be in its worst case. Just about every county and town has what's called a master plan. You can find those on those government websites and see exactly what they have planned and learn a lot more about the future development for any given community. Choosing the right neighborhood impacts everything, from your lifestyle, to resale value, to just your overall satisfaction with your home. So take time when you make the decisions. Ask as many questions as you need to. Do not rush this decision. It is too important. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and if you haven't already, visit the link in my description, pick up a copy of my book. It's packed with strategies, practical advice, and lots of strategies to make sure when you buy your new home, you're doing it like a pro. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.